The more you work with Excel formulas and functions, the more you encounter the need to use functions together, and sometimes not just tacked onto the end of one another, but actually used within one another. We call this nesting, and perhaps you have encountered this and you might have needed this as you use the if function. But sometimes this arises also when using a VLOOKUP function. For example, on the screen here in column F, we see various entries, and farther to the left are people's names. And we're trying to look up the regional tax rate here. First of all, note that there's a table here in column J and K that lists all of the states and the region that they happen to be in. First example here, we'd like to find out which region Colorado belongs in. You can see here that it's in the MT, presumably mountain region here. So let's do a VLOOKUP here using the Colorado reference, comma. The table here has a range name rather than highlighting it, which I sometimes can do, and you can certainly do that too. This time I'll hit the F3 key to bring up the various range names available in this workbook. And the range name for this, as you would guess, is state regions. We're looking in the left column of state regions, comma, and we need to get information out of the second column, it's the 2, and this must be an exact match, comma, 0 or false is that fourth argument. Complete the entry, and we see that that was found. Once we've indicated which region Colorado's in, it's the MT region, we then want to use the additional table that's seen over in columns M through U. And this table over here shows different rates depending on number of dependents. Here are the number of dependents. And over on the left-hand side, this first person has 5 dependents. So the result of the VLOOKUP here is an MT. We now want to use MT and look up the appropriate MT rate over here based on number of dependents. So the answer we got from this first VLOOKUP is going to be the item to be looked up in an outer VLOOKUP. So think of all of this as MT, that's what it evaluates to. Leave that in place. And outside of this, or beginning to the left of it, let's put in another VLOOKUP, the so-called outer VLOOKUP. Left parenthesis, remember this is equal to MT. This is what we're trying to look up, comma. And the table we're using as the source for the lookup are these cells right here, and the range name regional tax kicks in. That's the name of that table, comma. We're trying to look up information in which column? Well, if a person has 5 dependents, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th column here. And rather than putting in the 6, we're going to use that dependent plus 1. And because this needs to be an exact match, in other words, we're trying to find that MT exactly here in that left column, we need to put in an additional argument, comma, and either the word false or the number 0. And a closing parentheses. All the parentheses must be typed here since we have multiple sets. So this should give us the answer. And if you're looking ahead, you would be suspecting in the MT row here, in the column that has the 5 in it, a 0.30 for this regional tax. And there it is. So a VLOOKUP inside of a VLOOKUP. In this case, you can see the power of it and how it solves the need pretty quickly and efficiently.